Hello, everyone. We are live. Thank you for joining. I've got a special guest here
Hey,
again
hey.
on the channel. Say
Yes,
hello,
yes.
everyone, to Ayana, Miss Ayana Glaze.
It's your girl Ayana G, y'all. Back with Miss Tanisha Murphy. I call her T, so forgive us if you hear me say, oh, T, what's up? But T. But T.
Yeah,
That's how we
yeah,
talk.
exactly, exactly. We're here to have a conversation today about Black women surviving corporate America, right? And so
Yeah.
Ayana was graced our presence last. Was it last week? It was last week, right?
And I think it was last week.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring her back on the channel, and if you guys also make sure you check out the video for her video from last week, and there's another video from last week, so two videos featuring Ayana. Check those out. But we want to talk about Black women surviving corporate America. What are
Woo,
your thoughts
child.
on this, Ayana?
But we some tough women. If we can survive corporate America, we can survive anything. And that's not to say that corporate America does not have its purpose. I want to make sure we, say that there definitely is a purpose. And some people can get in there and they can flow, but corporate America can come with its own challenges, and I think it's because of the people in corporate America. You got all these different personalities converging in one place, and ooh, child.
Exactly. I mean, I like to refer to corporate America as a gang because it literally is. It literally jumps your ass in, it jumps you
Yes,
in. There's some initiation rights, okay?
yes,
You know,
yes,
you
yes,
got to stay on gang code. You got to stay on
boy,
code.
boy, and then you get your crew. There's some places you go and you have this magical crew, and T know what I'm talking about now.
Yep.
But you can find this very magical crew that can make the worst situation the best situation and your most favorable one. But at the same time, you still don't forget the trauma,
Mhm.
how people pissed you off. But if it just wasn't for that crew, and that crew, it's almost like it's like school, like high school, right?
Yep.
And you have your crew, your clique, and no matter what happens after y'all leave high school, y'all have grown up in the ranks and developed a bond that is unbreakable. So
Mhm.
that's the beauty of corporate America if it's done right.
This is true. So tell folks who may not be familiar with you, Ayana, like tell us a little bit about your background and some of the things you've done.
Okay, so I am a digital content strategist. I came up in the digital world when companies were just now being introduced to the internet. So this was like late '90s, when they were really just getting really introduced to the internet. The whole idea of websites and child, even email. I can remember back in corporate America when we first got Windows and had Outlook, and they didn't want us checking email, and they didn't even know how to use email to help them with work. They were still using their DOS programs that let them communicate within the
Woo,
organization, but didn't realize that. And fax machines, also the faxes,
woo.
they didn't
You
realize that email could be a powerful tool.
you
So
going way back.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. I
taking it
went
all
way,
the way back, right?
I went all the way back. So that's when I really got my first start. And it started because um I had this manager. She was all right, but me and her, we always kind of butted heads. And
Okay.
she I had this agent, and this agent was just like always calling and telling them they liked me. But when I had to tell them no, so they said sometimes you gotta tell Diddy no. Sometimes I had
Right.
to tell my agents no. When I told them
Right.
no,
Like
they
no
wanted to call
diddy.
and tell on me, wanted to
Right.
report me. And
Okay.
so I got tired of being told on, and I sat down, and it was about some stock orders. They thought if the cutoff was 12 o'clock, the cutoff was 12 o'clock. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they were thinking that, oh, just because they called at 12:01, their stock order should go out that day. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. It's not what we do. And so I ended up I was a smart aleck,
Okay.
and I created my first training piece ever was how to enter a stock order.
Okay.
And I created this as like almost like a little ebook. Didn't even know what an ebook was back then because they weren't calling them that. I just created a little article
Right.
and
Right.
said, here's, and I was being facetious. My little characters that I had pulled in, I was using all the tools they told us not to use. And so I think my manager thought it was going to get me in trouble, but it
Okay.
didn't. What ended up happening, because she told me send it because she knew they were going to tell on me.
Right.
Instead, the agents loved it because it told them exactly what they need to do. Next thing I know, I'm being pulled into this meeting with all these um, team leaders and presenting my presentation to the team leaders, and they took it and they utilized it. That is what landed me into digital,
Okay.
because my boss's boyfriend, who happened to be her boss, snatched me up for his flash team, and they were creating a web-based interface to help
Okay.
people do what? Enter their orders.
Okay. So that was your
So
first
that
exposure in
that was
digital marketing.
my first exposure to digital anything. So, and
Anything.
on this team, I was a tech writer. I wrote use cases and test scripts, and I pretty much was a BA, but I didn't know I was a BA. And that's the one. If you go back and watch Tanisha's previous video with me on there, the most recent one, that's when I talk about um, just kind of how the whole trajectory went from there, because it was the whole thing of, that's when I got a taste of corporate playing in your face, saying wasn't nobody gonna hire you, wasn't nobody gonna pay me, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that's when I got a taste for that, and realizing
Okay.
how companies will do you. They'll take your job and tell you you're doing one thing so they can keep paying you a little money, and then when you get your wake up call and you have your epiphany or your aha moment, then it's like, oh, I'm about to call you on your bluff. So if I had to say I had a tip to young people, call them on their bluff.
Call them on it. Call them on it. So
Call them on it.
I do want to bring up real quick. So part of the inspiration for this conversation is a video on Stephanie Perry's channel. For those of you who
Mm-hmm.
don't know who Stephanie Perry is, I'll link it in the caption. I'll link her channel in the caption. But Stephanie Perry is very popular in the Move Abroad circles. But I want y'all to to watch and listen to this video. Hold on. Hold on.
Black women, while you're working on these liberation practices, go ahead and quit that job too. Liberate yourself from that toxic workplace. What many Black women experience in the workplace is what I experienced. I went from pet to threat. People will use our labor, they'll exploit our labor, but they're not playing our face. So for us, we feel like we have to overperform, we have to outperform, we have to be twice as good. But you see, these people over here who are mediocre at best, right? They're failing forward. Yeah. And then let's say once you get to that level, guess what? Now they're coming for you. Now you have to constantly prove things. Stop waiting for them people to do better by you. We're going to talk about ways that you can instead do better by you.
Okay. So
I like that. Do better by you.
do better by you. So what did you think of that? That is what is the impetus for this whole entire conversation. What are your thoughts on that, Ayana?
I mean, she hit in a very brief post. She hit the nail on the head. They will use you for your skill.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fight to, even if you're a corporate climber. I wasn't a corporate climber. I don't think Tanisha was either. But
No.
if you are a corporate climber as a Black woman and you see yourself in these managerial roles or these other C-suite or whatever, you got to fight to get there. And once you get there, they try to use you to do all of their dirty work that they don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
They use you as their scapegoat. I've seen that happen with people. They pretty much bring out the mean girl.
Okay.
And I've seen people even become, they're not naturally the angry Black woman, but I've seen people become the angry Black woman because of how they were being treated, and then they put that on their sisters that are lower on the stairwell to them. And I think that's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate.
So let's talk about angry Black woman a little bit, like angry Black woman in corporate America. My thing is always, when it comes to that whole stereotype of the angry Black woman, we are quick to, people are quick, and sometimes it's us, are quick to throw it out without asking, well, why exactly, if she is angry, why exactly is she angry? What is she angry about?
Yeah.
When it comes to Black women in corporate America, what do you think about that particular label and what it does to their career?
I think it does stall their career unless unless they find favor with someone that, and it's usually going to be a white male that they're going to find favor with.
Yeah.
So unless they find favor with the white male, and that's not saying go sleep with the man now, whatever. But there's some people, their heart is for treating people fairly, and if they see you as someone that has the skill set, now they're gonna pick you because you got what they need. You're gonna be able to make them look better. But
Right.
there's still an aspect of it where if you get out of line,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to put you back in your place and remind you that you're still just a Black woman. And I think that feeds the whole angry Black woman narrative because it can stir the pot. So when you stand up for yourself, you're an angry Black woman.
Right.
When you speak up for yourself, you're an angry Black woman. When you
Right.
don't let people lie on you and scapegoat you, you're an angry Black woman.
Right.
When you sit off to yourself and don't have much to say in meetings, you are an angry, disconnected Black woman. When you do have something to say in meetings, you are an angry Black woman with an attitude. Or you are an angry Black woman that just won't go with the flow, that won't play the game. So there are a lot of, it's not just the angry Black woman, it's the angry Black woman who does not do something that the patriarchy wants you to do. You don't play the game.
And so we're damned if we do and damned if we don't, because while Chad may want Keisha, right,
Mm-hmm.
to make them look better. And
Mm-hmm.
they've also recognized Keisha's inherent qualities, right? As Black women, we are
Mm-hmm.
used to leading. We are
Yes.
used to managing, right?
Yes.
We are perfect for corporate America because of our experiences as Black women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until we step out of our
that little square they put us in, that little box.
The
Once
box.
you pick your leg up, hike that leg up like you're going to step out that box. Hold on a minute.
Exactly. So you got Chad, right, who wants to use you for whatever his purposes may be, meaning
Mm-hmm.
to make himself look better. He's recognized your inherent qualities because, let's face it, most Black women, natural leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Naturally.
Right.
Then you got your corporate Karen. Now you in for a whole girl. Now you in for a whole different world of hurt with corporate Karen, because corporate Karen, listen, I'm generalizing here, right? But we know what our experiences are. Corporate Chad gonna, leave you over there because he wants, you make him look better. But
Mm-hmm.
corporate Karen,
Mm-hmm.
she is threatened by you.
Mm-hmm.
You are a threat to her job.
Yes.
You are a threat to what she thinks about Black people, because
yes.
we're all DEI hires or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
And corporate Karen is actually very messy.
Dangerous.
Yeah, she's very dangerous. And
she has a noose. She has a noose at the. Can I say that word?
She holding the noose.
She got it in the cubicle.
And took the noose to Chad.
Exactly. And another thing we got to talk about too, there's another dynamic, and that is when you've got a Black woman manager or a Black male manager.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, right? I'm again not saying all the time, but sometimes it's a whole different dynamic, because we know what Black women in the workplace experience and what Black people experience.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you have that Black male or female manager,
mm-hmm.
they feel like they got to tap dance.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like anything that you may do reflects on them,
Straight
right?
up step and fetch it.
Yes. So if
Corporate
you
step
can't
and fetch
make
it.
one misstep, not
Mm-mm.
one nothing, because they feel like that reflects on them, and you have
Mhm.
you got the black microscope on you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You got the microscope of, well,
She
you know
thinks
it's
she
not many
better than the
people,
rest of us.
right? Well, you got the microscope of, well, you know it's not many people here who look like you and I.
Mhm. Or if they happen to be your manager, they're gonna be extra hard on you because you are a black female or male.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only speaking to the female experience.
Okay.
The CYA is so intense.
Girl,
It becomes micromanaging. And you
girl.
understand this because they just want to protect you, but at the same time they cause a clash in personalities because they're operating out of their trauma, and here you are operating out of your trauma, and y'all's traumas is clashing. Well, really and truly, you just need to come together and come up with a system that's going to work so you can flow in your greatness, they can flow in their greatness, and when they try to touch y'all, they can't.
You have a united front. There you
You
go.
have a united front.
Because you already know, as black women, you already know you're getting gunned for, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people coming for you. I gotta watch
And in
my
corporate
words.
America, it's divide and conquer when it comes to
Right.
African Americans in the workplace because
Right.
they don't. It's true. I hate to say it's the truth, but because I remember when somebody told me, I'm like, y'all just sound crazy, but it is the truth. They don't like to see us congregated together.
True.
It scares our white counterparts.
True. Yep. They feel
Not
like
in all cases, but in most cases.
They feel like it's a black people revolt. They feel like we plotting and planning. That's exactly what they feel like. And when it's too much, buddy, because we naturally communicate and congregate in the workforce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
But we're
again,
natural. We're natural. We're natural in community.
exactly.
So
Because I can
we're
look at you. I can look at you. I can be in that meeting looking at you like,
we talking with our eyes. We're talking.
You've told me like on the low, like, girl, you need to fix your face at these meetings.
And
Fix
she
your face.
tell me the same thing. She's been like, you know, you're gonna have to do better because I saw your face.
Right.
And see, with me and Tanisha, both of us, our faces tell it all. Our faces will say, if this ain't some bullshit, can I say that? Our faces will say, now I know she lied.
Right. This is why the camera stays off on the meeting calls. Okay. You can hear this voice. But this face, these eyes, and the way I cut them, the side eye. No, I don't want you seeing all that because I'm looking crazy at you while you're talking.
And then if we happen to be in a live setting and I look at you or you look at me and we hear what they saying and we looking like our faces, we're talking to each other.
Exactly.
And we're saying, did you hear this lie this chick just told?
And it's a secret language for real because we know what it means. Mm-hmm. We can look at each other and be like, girl.
And be smiling the whole time. But the eyes is like giving the whole truth of how we feel.
I know Brad didn't say what I think he said. Mm-hmm. I know he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Girl, it's a trip. But it's funny though. It's not funny, but now in hindsight, now that we are out of it, it's funny how we can now look at some of this and laugh a little bit. Now, a lot of this being able to laugh has come through therapy. Because I know both of us are doing some therapy.
Therapy, listen, therapy and trauma. Because I was listen, my experiences in the last 14 months or 15 months or so. I was running to the therapist like, hello, lady, where are you? Where is the red couch? Mm-hmm. Put me on the red couch.
Yes, like
Okay.
I need a red couch, a blue couch, and a green couch someday.
Right.
Shoot.
Right.
But this is the beauty of us in corporate America. If you can find someone, this is for the younger people. If you can find someone who's a little bit older, just a little tainted. You don't want somebody that's just bitter. Because there are people that have stayed too long and become bitter. But someone who can give you the real.
Right.
Real low down. Now you still make your own judgments. But when you start to see that what the person is telling you is the truth about different people, they've been there longer, they've experienced more, and and if they're telling you how to move, listen to them. Listen to them.
Find you like one or two people that you trust at every organization you go to, right? That at least you know that will give you the real deal. And you have to sit back and observe anybody. But I feel like find you Black women. Find you some Black women that you trust. And we are there. You don't have to look too far, but you do have to make sure the people that are in your work bubble are they giving you good counsel, right? These don't have to be your friends, but are they giving you good counsel during that 9 to 5 or 9 to whatever?
I don't know if you've seen Abbott Elementary.
I've heard a lot about it. I have seen short clips. I have not seen a full episode.
Well, Shirley Ralph plays his older teacher, right?
Okay.
And then Janine is the younger teacher.
Okay.
But when I look at their dynamic, it reminds me of some of the older people. And this could be a white woman, Black woman, white man, Black man. It doesn't matter. I've had an Indian man kind of school me a few times.
Okay.
But
okay.
The people who genuinely want to school you and want to help you see you progress, even if it's just progress on the level that you're on, that dynamic on Abbott Elementary, like those first couple of seasons, and seeing how Shirley Ralph's character, how she advised Janine on certain things and how Janine clung to her. Now, it's comedy, of course, but there's an element of truth in all of that. And I think that is what we need more of. I worked at a place once where they had, matter of fact, I'd say the name of the company, I don't care. It was called Profit. And they had blacks in profit or blacks at profit or whatever. But it was a little group. They had all these different subgroups. They had like the LGBTQ one. They had the Black one, and they had, I think they might have had another group or whatever. But like your experience at Profit and people that were able to talk to you within that group or whatever. I thought that was like one of the smartest things I'd ever seen, because I had never seen that at any company I worked at before. I've seen the multicultural diversity initiative groups that were created, right? But I've never seen the ones where they were actively having like little get-togethers and stuff like that, where they really like, oh, we got a new person that's been hired. She's a Black lady. Let's pull her in and invite her to some things to get her acclimated. Let's help her succeed. This and even like sharing bits and elements of the resume, just to say these are the things she brings to the table, so people can see what your value is and stuff like that, and where you've been and stuff. That was very new on me. I do miss, when I was still in corporate, I did miss that once I left corporate.
Okay. I definitely understand that. What would you say though, just in terms of some of the experiences that you've gone through? You mentioned some of your first experiences, and working within digital marketing and how you got your start. What would you describe, if you can describe one experience, what would be your worst experience in corporate? And how did it affect you?
I thought long and hard about this. And I thought I was going to say my most recent experience in corporate, because that's the one that sent me on the deep end. But that's not really my worst experience in corporate. My worst experience in corporate, I will have to say hands down, would be, I won't say the name of the company. But I'll say this in the news right now because it did.
Okay.
But I would say my worst experience there was because It was the taking you back. I was a contractor, and it's the taking
Mhm.
you back and forth. Like, are they gonna cancel your contract? Are they not gonna cancel your contract? That's trauma, and it's a heavy trauma because you're constantly paranoid. And it creates PTSD too, because you're paranoid about whether or not you're gonna still be able to be on this contract. In the meantime, you're looking for a new contract, and if things are a little off, but even worse than that, this white woman put her butt in my face.
Mm.
I will say that's my worst experience.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. When you mean put your okay, hold on. Go back. Take it back. Roll that back. Roll it back.
I knew it
So,
was gonna get you.
so you said okay, you put her
She put a butt in my
chicken
face.
cutlets in your face. What do you
Yes,
mean?
she did. And I'm gonna tell you how she did it. So we were in this realm of they had some strategists had already left because they had
Okay.
made us apply for our jobs and all that stuff, right? And they pretty much told us they didn't want us anyway, but they made us apply for our jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
a couple of them had already left. I was still there because I hadn't found a new contract yet.
Okay.
But I also was like, I'm me and my husband, we weren't together then.
Now,
So
was this at that company? Was this at that company that me and you used to work at together?
no,
Or no? Okay.
mm-mm,
Okay.
it wasn't that one. This
Okay.
is the one, maybe like the one that's attached to the Diddy trial. I'll say it that way.
Oh, okay. Okay, got you.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what
So,
you're saying. I get it.
and so we were at this big meeting. They love to have these big meetings and bring you in. And I'm sitting at the table, I'm talking to this gentleman who happened to be white. And he was new. I knew him, but he was new. And at coming there. And so normally when a supervisor or a manager is going to come up and speak to someone, they will at least greet you and say hello, or at the
Mm-hmm.
very least say, hey, pardon me, need to say something to such and such. This chick didn't do that. What this chick did was, we're sitting side by side, we're like this.
Mm-hmm.
She came, this is me, this is him.
Mm-hmm.
She came and walked her butt in between the two of us. Those type chairs are really close together at those round tables. She came and walked her butt in between us. And when she walked in, she scooted in with her butt, and her butt was directly in my face. And it didn't dawn on me at first.
Right. Because you're going through it in the moment.
In the moment. But then I thought about it. This chick just put her ass in my face. Let me fix that. Excuse my language. This white MF just put her ass in my face.
Mm.
And I had to go through the rest of the day
Thinking.
let it sink in as to how much
Disrespectful.
how the great lack of respect. Because when she walked away, the gentleman that I was talking to, he looked at me and he was like, he was puzzled because the conversation she was trying to was unnecessary. She didn't, like most people, they gonna walk up, they'll squat down and have, they'll squat to be eye level with the person.
Right.
That's how we used to do it.
Right.
Or they may stand behind the person and bend over and say what they're gonna say. And later that day, he said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm fine." He said, "No, Ayana, how are you really?" Meaning, confirming, I saw what happened.
Right.
And I think the reason why he could once, I think he was a part of the LGBTQ community, right?
Okay.
I hope I'm saying it right. He's part of that community. He and I think in the moment he saw it for what it was. But that also goes with that privilege though. Because that oftentimes they'll see stuff that we may not see in the moment because we're reacting to it in the moment. Because in the moment, I was like, this like she put a butt in my face. And then I was like, and then I just turned and started talking and started, focusing and playing on my phone. And then I talked to the person to the left of me. But when I really thought about it, that's my worst experience. You know why it's my worst experience?
Why?
Because I let this white chick play me. And I said in that moment, there will never be another moment somebody put their ass in my face on anybody's job.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now I'm thinking
She
about a
shook.
moment.
Y'all,
I
Tanisha
know, right?
shook.
Like I'm like, girl, how did you not catch no? How would the police not and the coroner's not called, right? Like the coroner's office. Okay. Um, I can think of one incident that happened to me. Now that you bring it up, like it's kind of more a long time ago at a telecommunications company. I was having a conversation with a peer. This man was in tech support. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he came up to talk about, I think my laptop had an issue. We had those old ThinkPad laptops, that from time to time would fritz out, right? And so he was on our floor, and it was me, it was another of my peers who is a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And we were talking, and some kind of way we got to talking about, I mean, I don't really like to talk about personal stuff, but some kind of way, I guess the kids came up, like my kids came up, right? And my kids were much younger then. And I was, at the time I was married, I'm widowed now, right? So, and I bring this up to say, like, he made a comment as to refer that, like, that I was some loose person. And that person, the member of the this person who was a member of the LGBT community, he checked him. Before I could even say anything, this man checked him. And he checked him so well that he looked speechless, and I didn't have to say anything else.
Well, that's a stereotype they have about us now. So because Tanisha's always been well put together, she dresses real nice. She's got a little sass about her and everything, just in her swag. She's like very swagalicious. All right.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you always keep it together, sis. But it goes back to, because you swagalicious, you must be fast. You must be loose. He was finna try you.
He really was in that moment, because I really was like, how did this conversation get to here? And you hear more women now. I'm glad the girlies on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, we're able now to tell things that these are conversations that you and I would have amongst ourselves. Now the girlies are able to say stuff like, don't tell these people where you're going for vacation. Don't tell these people what you got going on at your house. Don't tell these people what your spouse does. Really, it's like, with Black women, we have to keep such a low profile because we are always the topic of the conversation. One of my worst experiences that I had was with a Karen manager, and I didn't find out about it until after I left this particular place, right?
Was it the one we worked at together?
No, it was not this place. You know this story, though. I think you know this story. So, it was at a very large company in the US. I had been at this place for 5 years. And this was right as I was starting to travel, right? So this is like 2017, but even before that, I would travel quite a bit. And every time I would travel, it was never an issue. But it wasn't until I left that I found out that this particular manager, this person who was once my manager, told someone else, "Oh, I never know where Tanisha is. Where is she?" How would you not know where I am? I have to vacation, PTO, or whatever. So how would you? This person had a young family, had 2 young children. Oh, I never know where Tanisha is. Do you know that woman tried to put me on PIP? Tried to put me on PIP. Luckily, another manager. The thing is, this person, didn't even tell me that I was on PIP. Didn't even tell me that my reviews had always been fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what ended up happening is that she left. She got transferred and left. And then I had a new manager. My manager's like, hey, pull me aside. And this manager was a member of the LGBTQ community. Just happened to be. And she was like, hey, I see you got something going on here. It's annual review time. I'm like, she's like, wait a minute. I see here you're on PIP. I worked with you for 4 or 5 months. What's going on? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I see here that you are on a PIP. And I'm like, that this person was going to put you on one. Did you ever meet with her? No, I never met with her. Because she's like, yeah, I noticed that it doesn't say what happened. She's like, I see her feedback. She says you missed a project. She doesn't say the project, does not say the dates. There's no information here. It looks incomplete. And she's like, I noticed that she didn't meet with you. Because she knew the answers to the questions before she asked me. She's like, oh, did this person ever meet with you about this? Well, no. Because literally she started in September. My review is in January. My annual review.
So it hadn't even been 6 months.
Well, right, but what was supposed to have what would have happened is if my performance were in question, she would have met with me, and she never did. She never met with me. We never had a meeting and discussed my performance at all, and those records reflected that. This is the same woman who was like, who told this other person who didn't even need to know my business. Like, she never knows where I am.
Right.
So I learned from that. That was like, even I had stopped talking about my travel plans by then. But it's crazy because you literally, you get to the office on Monday morning and the conversation is, oh, how was your weekend? Now, if I have had a beautiful weekend, the response is typically if you are someone else, it's, oh yeah, we went, picnicking.
Yeah, we went such and such.
We went such and such. We went here. If you're a Black woman in the workplace, the response almost has to be,
oh, it was good.
It was good. Or my standard, I had a relaxing weekend. Because literally, once you tell folks what you did over the weekend, or sometimes you don't even have to tell them. If you go into these workplaces and you look nice, presented, put together, you, Ayana, always nice, presented, put together, your jewelry, your creations that you would sell, your whatever, they look at that and say, she got what I want. And how did she get that? Why do you have, why are you wearing a Cartier bracelet on your wrist? I mean, I don't have one. I may have a fake one, but I'm just saying. Why you had that Rolex?
Why you got that? Who authorized you to have that?
What about that ring on your finger? Why do you have that? Why are you going to Paris? Why are you going to Cape Town? Why are you going to Ghana?
Why? And the real question they have is, why not me?
Exactly. Why you and why not me?
And it feeds into this whole, because we're dealing with it real strong out here in these US of A streets right now.
Yep.
Is we've taken something from someone. Forget the fact that I work for mine just like you work for yours. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But it's like, oh, we work for ours just like they work for theirs.
Right.
But we've taken something. We've taken a job. We've taken a trip. We've taken food out of somebody's mouth. We've stolen from somebody. Like, it's the lies, because that's all they are. They're not exaggerations. They are straight up lie. When I use no euphemisms, it's a straight lie. And then we end up having to suffer consequences. And all we're doing out here is trying to live our life. All we're trying to do is live our lives.
I mean, literally, all we are trying to do is, and this is what I also like try to tell people too, if I can give anybody advice, yeah, we basically try to work our black asses, work our jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Collect our check. We do our job, collect our check, and we go home.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's generally what we do. But it's kind of like you aren't even given the opportunity to even to do that. When people you always have to censor yourself, monitor what you're saying. You know, you never know when someone
Code
else is
switch.
triggered. They look at you and they may say, "Oh, I like how she, I like how she got herself together." Right?
But
I
don't you think
like
it's
the car she drives.
Right. I
She
like the
lives
car she drives.
she she has that new house.
Mm-hmm. Girl, how you get that big old house?
Exactly.
And I feel like did we do this to ourselves? And this is not to take the blame for anything, but what I'm saying is, sometimes your light, it just gonna shine regardless. And do we put, just by the nature of who we are, do we naturally, innately, just put the spotlight on ourselves?
We do. And that's what I think sometimes makes it so hard. And it's what makes us feel like we're bound when we're in these environments, because you feel like I said, you can't talk about what you did over the weekend. I can't talk about what my kids are doing, right? I can't talk about, where, like, the little things that you just have regular conversations about, because you are going to be judged differently. And so we do have this, we got it. We got the light. We got it. And they see that. We may not see, we may or may not see it, but they definitely do. And that's where the problems come in. That's where people begin to get threatened. That's where people who are your peers, who aren't even over you, managing you, may feel threatened.
That's so sad, though. That's such a sad existence.
It really
to be
is.
Constantly ain't they aren't they tired?
No, I don't think that they're tired. When you look at, like, one of the common things on TikTok now is the black fatigue. When you look at that, and people saying stuff like that, and people getting on videos and saying, "I'm tired of all the ghetto-ness, I'm tired of all the ratchetness, I'm tired of DEI this," whatever that they've ascribed that they think that we are, that shows you they still think that way. There are a lot of people who genuinely think these spaces are not open to us. Opportunities are not open to us. It is reserved for them and theirs, right? So whether it be a job, whether it be a business, whether it be contracts, whatever it is, whether it be a parking spot, they feel like things are reserved for them and them alone. And you see them crashing out over it all the time.
They ought to be tired. I'm tired for them.
Listen, and this is an honest discussion. Let me say this. This is if you are on this channel, I don't spare feelings here. So this is an honest conversation and an honest discussion, right? And these things that we're speaking of happened. If you ask 5 Black women, we're gonna give you 5 similar but different stories.
Girl, we could have a whole channel just dedicated to corporate survival stories.
We really could, and we might need to.
I think we should.
We might need to. We might need to, because we are at, we are at the auntie stages, right?
Yeah, girl.
We made it to the, in our 50s, right? Right? We're 50, 50 fab, right?
Yes.
we have made it to that stage where we got decades in this game.
And
People have
what
not
we could do.
changed. Human
No,
behavior has not
the
changed.
game is still the same. The times change, but the game stays the same.
Right.
And these young people going into, and it's not to make them feel bitter, but it's more just to help them understand the warning signs and the things to look out for, because these are I call them corporate traps. They're things
Absolutely.
that can get you blacklisted at a company, and hey, your girl over here been blacklisted at a company. And I actually like working at the company. That's the funny part about it. But I was blacklisted, and
Yep.
look, and I was blacklisted because of something me and Tanisha did together, which wasn't even a bad thing. They asked for what we gave them, ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And
how dare you give that good of an idea? How dare you do that? How dare we do that, right?
how dare we do that? How dare we dare have an idea? A fresh idea, and one that makes sense, and then to have the nerve of coming up with some articles and some statistics.
Oh, we were prepared.
Oh,
This
girl,
is
we
the
were
reason.
prepared.
This is the reason why they love Black women, because, baby, let me tell you something. We will save you from yourself. We will be prepared. We will save you for yourself. We're going to come with receipts and evidence all the time.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right?
We are natural strategists. We're strategists in
Exactly.
the home. We're strategists on the job. We're strategists when we take trips. We strategize because that's part of our survival makeup.
It is. It is about our
How are we going to
survival.
make it through this particular season that we're in? It may not
Right.
be a favorable season, but how are we going to make this work? And we know how to strategize, and we know how to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Absolutely. And those skills in corporate America are priceless.
They are.
They are. They really are. If we're given the opportunity to really take off running.
Well, I think that's when we create our own tables.
Right.
That's when we go from being the corporate worker to the corporate consultant, not just the contractor.
Right.
Because there's an aspect of contracting. Girl, that's a whole nother topic. But there's a whole aspect of contracting that you still feel like you are a water cooler employee until they remind you, oh, I can end your contract today, sis.
You're right. And it's the part of the contracting side that you and I have both been on. Now we're trying to get on the other side of contracting, to where you're not contracting myself, you're contracting my company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a difference. My company doesn't have to be at these water cooler conversations with you, right? My company doesn't have to answer when you ask me what I did over the weekend, right? Because my company is there for this project, and there are billable hours, right?
I've had one experience like that. Well, no, I've had two. Yeah, telecommunications company, and
okay.
my last gig with them, they were paying my company and not me.
Okay.
But if you don't play it right,
right,
you can end up being back around the water cooler. But I think I played it right.
See, I think when they do the billing like the way they do, they treat you honestly like they treat you like an employee. They don't truly treat you as a consultant, because as a consultant, it's a lot of BS that you don't have to worry about as a consultant. That's what employees, that's employee stress, right?
Yeah, that's employee stress.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of we're gonna have to sit down together and make us a list and go on and pop this thing on out.
Exactly. We got a lot. Oh, we got a lot of stories. And we do have trauma. Like some of this, it is corporate workplace trauma. When you think about it, and when you think about certain things, I can think about sometimes one time where I was working at a magazine, a business magazine, in the suburbs of Atlanta, and we had problems with payroll. So that was the one thing. I would literally have, we were paid bi-weekly, and I would have 1 to 2 checks in my purse. Now, looking back, that wasn't a good situation, right? And I should have
Right.
never been in that situation. But I literally would go to the bank, and because I wasn't putting it in my bank account. I was going to their bank account, right? The check was drawn on. And I would take my little check. And this was 25. How long ago was this? This is about 06, 07, long time ago. So I would literally have to go to the bank. And the teller would be like, I'm sorry, Miss Mercer, it's not available. So I had that issue. And I remember going into a meeting with the person over this particular magazine, and this person got mad at me. And I think I must have asked him about my check or something. His veins in his neck started bulging out, and he pointed at me like this, like I was a child. Now, I'm not stupid. And I knew I could not tell my husband, my late husband, I could not tell him that.
Yeah.
I would have had to
play about you with that part.
It would have been it would have been bail time. Gonna be some bodies. And it wasn't gonna be his. So like I can remember feeling in that moment like, I don't believe this man is sitting up here yelling at me and he owes me money. He actually owes me money, and he's pointing at me like I am a child. Girl.
We have seen it all. We really have. I remember I had a person tell me, this was a Karen. She said, when I got ready to leave this job, she was like, I made you. I just looked at her. I said, no, you did make me. I really was, but I did. Yeah, she said she made me. Y'all. I don't know what happened. We lost Tanisha. But yeah, I just keep telling my story. Yeah, she said she made me. I was getting ready to go off and to do my own little thing. And she had the unmitigated gall to say, she made me. I'm like, I had to check her. No, you didn't make me.
Okay, God sorry. I'm sorry. I was gone for a minute. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. I just kept telling the story.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Fell off, but yeah, girl said she made me. I was like, no, you didn't make me. I tell her God made me. You didn't make me.
She made you.
She thought she made me.
She had put
in her head. And
that
then,
she
like,
made you.
We got so many. We can talk about how certain people in corporate will use you. And if you don't know any better, and this is early on. This is like in my youth. This is like in my 20s. Fresh out of college. We can talk about that. It's so many stories that we have that I think we might need to tell it. So what we're gonna do, sis?
We need to we need to figure this out. Let's figure out how we're gonna tell these stories, because between the both of us and actually other people we know as well, there are a lot of stories and a lot of lessons that can be learned when you're going through something in the moment. Sometimes you're like, just like your incident of the woman that literally gave you her ass to kiss. My incident of this man pointing at me like I really wish I had broke his damn hand off. I didn't do that. And sometimes hindsight is always 20/20, but I think that people can learn from experiences, and you can learn what to do and what not to do.
And what not to do. And take what we share not as criticisms or as a corporate bash, because it's not a corporate bashing, but take it as corporate lessons to help you survive like we did. So some of the things that we went through, we can help you recognize it and take it as a lesson and a learning. So when you see it or a version of it, you won't be as caught off guard as we were.
You can kind of avoid the bullshit, right? Like that's the bottom line. You can swerve on the bullshit real quickly.
Yes.
And so many things depends. For some of us, we may be the first in our families to have a corporate position or to have a C-suite position, or to be in certain corporate roles. My
Right.
family is a blue collar family. Okay.
Mhm.
Like I like the things that I have experienced since I was in the workforce at 17 years old. Like there are members of my family who don't know what that's like.
Mhm.
Right. And
Mhm.
who couldn't really advise me about what to do
Right.
on some levels. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's kind of like if people can just, we got stories for days,
Days and days and days.
days.
Days. Years.
Yeah, of how folks have what folks have tried to do, how we have had to CYA some more,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
How we have had to have multiple streams of income because you don't know if you don't know if Becky Sue over there. I don't like Ayana. I don't like Ayana how she's put together and how she comes in, how she presents herself. So I
Mhm.
just don't like Ayana. And so since
Yep.
I don't like Ayana, I'm going to tell everybody about her work that I don't like, even though her work is excellent.
Oh, I'm gonna
Right.
sabotage her work because that's a
I'm
whole
going to
nother topic
sabotage her work.
of the corporate how sometimes people sabotage your work. And it's funny because Tanisha knows of an experience where my work was sabotaged. I actually got
Mhm.
confirmation of that sabotaging because someone I worked with came up to me and asked me, why did you change what we had approved and agreed to? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It didn't change. While I was on vacation, the manager I had, the Karen of a manager I had, changed it. And he was like,
Mm.
well, I didn't know it at the time, but he said this is what was submitted, and he showed me. I was like, that's not what that's not mine. And I said, now it was when I left, such and such was editing it, and he was like, well, she messed you up because people are pissed at you.
Mm.
Wasn't bold enough to ask me though. This person was because they knew they had worked with me before, and it's almost like you have to have the reputation of having worked with someone before to combat certain types of sabotage in the workforce, in the workplace. And I think this is not just my sister's dealing with some stuff and she's not working corporate. She's working retail. She's working in a restaurant and some of the sabotage she's experienced. We could bring
Yep.
her on just to talk about some of the sabotage she's dealt with. I mean, shoot, my son got a whole different degree of sabotage that he was dealing with on a job that he had. And we still trying to come back from that. But it's like sometimes it's your own people, and then sometimes it be them other people.
And I think that's an important point though. It's workplace. Like it doesn't matter if the workplace is in a glass building or if it's
Mm-hmm.
not, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the workplace overall. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very, very important point. It's not just for the corporate, you know what I'm saying? It's not just for corporate.
Mm-hmm.
Although we are talking about Black women surviving corporate America, maybe we need to entitle it like Black women surviving the workplace.
I think
Because
so.
that's literally what you might work at a hospital, you might be a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And we
You
definitely can bring on some of those people who have survived those places, and they can share some of their experiences unique to their industries or unique
right,
to their type of work that they do. I think that's
exactly.
a good y'all. Okay, so you are seeing the birth of Black women surviving the workforce.
Yes,
You're seeing the
exactly.
birth of it right here, how minds work.
Yep. You seeing it live
You
in
seeing it
action,
live,
right?
y'all.
We putting it together. We're like, hold on, wait a minute now.
I was trying to
Mhm.
see the chat, but I can't see it. So
I was trying to see. I'm not even gonna touch it because when I tried to earlier, then I popped off. So
if y'all are
I'm not
saying
gonna.
something in chat, we apologize. We'll respond.
I
We
see
can't.
who do okay. We've got, is it Carl says he's okay. Yeah, Carl says he's an American who is playing. He's playing the lottery so I can hopefully escape to Japan. Listen, I understand because I have played a bunch of Mega Millions. Okay, I understand, Carl.
Cause
I,
he's trying to go to Japan.
right, I understand. Listen, let me play some of these. Let me get some of these scratch offs.
I know,
Okay,
girl.
right. Mega Millions, here I come. But what is
I
it
know.
playing for?
I just want to
what is the
live off the
jackpot
grid.
this week? I get it. I get it, Carl. I do get it. Thank you for responding, and Dee Dee as well. Thank you so much. Do we have anybody else? Y'all come on in and say hello. Say
Yes,
hello.
definitely.
Yeah, but no, yeah, folks need to stay tuned for more of our conversations and the things that, you know, we're going to do as it relates to this topic.
Yes.
I think people can learn. You can always learn from something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you don't have to go through it to learn from it. Let somebody else, if they've gone through it, there are lessons that you can learn from that.
They're definite lessons. Definite lessons. I mean, I learned some from my mom, and then to experience what my mom experienced. Recently, I talked to an aunt, and she retired from corporate some time ago. But then she was gonna do like contracting, go back into doing contracting work or whatever. And she was like, you know, when you get over 50, they don't want you no more.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation, ageism. And ageism starts
Next
early
week, we
than
need
you
to talk
think.
about that. Hold on. Next week, we need to talk about
We're
that.
gonna talk about ageism in the work, surviving ageism in the workforce.
We Black women surviving ageism, because most of us, we don't look like what we've been through, right?
Mm-mm.
So, but still, that resume, that application, it do
Mm-hmm.
say your government age on there,
Mm.
right? So
Yep.
yeah,
But
they know how old you are. They know how old you
mm-hmm.
are.
Oh, we got a
But yes,
plethora of stories related to that.
oh, absolutely. And so that's another area where, for Black women who are 50 and over, like, let us know, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
who are older than us. If, you know, if you're in your 60s, for example, or 70s or whatever, 80s, let us know. Hey, Eleanor, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Let us know, because listen, just like we're saying how the what is it, the zennials and
The zennials
whatever
and the
else can learn from us,
alphas
generation
and
what, Y and Z or whatever,
yep.
we can learn from the boomers and above.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can even learn from. I've learned from the millennials. I've learned from like
Yep.
watch my now. One of the biggest thing. Oh, let me stop because then we're gonna be going into other topics. But think about the things you learn from just watching these younger people in the workforce. But they need to learn some stuff from us too, because some of the stuff they pulling just ain't gonna work. You ain't gonna get a job when you go in there with your butt out, and they see your butt.
Yeah,
That
some
ain't gonna
things
work.
some things we can teach them, and, you know, be like, look, this is how you do it. And then, like you said, they've taught us, because I look at my kids are 27, 26, and 24. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at, like, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, no, I'm calling off. Like, I'm going on vacation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're all about work-life balance. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's not working, they not forcing it. They're like, no,
And
I'm
that's
just going to
something
find
we
something else.
right. And that's another topic. We're gonna have to sit down and just make a list of our topics we're gonna go through, because the work-life balance thing is very important because it's a generational thing.
It is.
We saw our generation and learned our work ethic from our parents, which were like the boomers, and maybe parts
Yep.
of the silent generation is still around. And then you have our generation where we were okay, we are the ones that started. Well, one, they call us the lost generation, but then we also we're very feral too. So we kind of can stick, we tough. But
Yep.
then also I think we were the catalyst. Generation X was the catalyst for this whole work-life balance thing, because we
Yeah.
remember, oh, we out here running amok, and our family, our parents out here working somewhere, and we gotta like go home and try to make us a bologna and cheese sandwich. My country girl almost came out then, and then and then babysit siblings and all that stuff. So that's where the work ethic and being responsible comes from. But then the generations beneath us, then well, not beneath us like beneath us, but after us, those generations, some of them don't know how to flow and how to function. um and but at the same time, now they know how to do something we don't know how to do, which is make sure we have good work-life balance.
This
That
is
work-life
true.
balance is very important. And so that's why I said cross generationally we can learn a lot from one another.
From each other. I mean, at the heart of it, we are still the latchkey kids, right? With the key
Mm-hmm.
around your neck, and you got to come in and make sure everything is good. You know your mama and daddy, whatever, got a couple hours before they, come home. You get out of school, right? So we are
Mhm.
still those same people, but you're right. These younger generations can teach us some things about work-life balance, about not letting these jobs stress you out, right?
Mhm.
And about leaving, because they will leave. They are only there for at most 2 years, right?
Mhm.
They gone.
Mhm.
It's no like dust under their feet. They're gone.
I haven't.
We're trying to stick it out. I think it'll get better if such and such, leave. No, they're
I'm
not
gonna
doing that.
retire from here.
Right,
Please.
right,
These people are
right.
cut your. There's no such thing as corporate security.
And they know it. I think we had to experience it, unfortunately.
Mhm. Mhm.
They've seen us. The I guess if there is a bright side about it, they've seen us like not work. They've seen us get laid off.
Mhm.
They've seen us companies close. They've
Mhm.
seen that, and that has impacted them.
Mhm.
So they know it's no job security.
Yeah. That's like they come out the womb knowing.
Right.
And
And
they
I
also
think
know they don't
yeah,
plan on staying on the job for so many years before they start their own thing. Like it's like we're
right,
constantly seeking permission to work our
right,
thing. They ain't
right,
seeking permission. It's like
right.
like if you look at Shadir Sanders, for example,
Hmm.
and look at them, we can have a whole nother conversation on that corporate play right there.
Right,
But with the draft, but they came out, they already making millions of dollars, and this ain't from their daddy money. They making millions of dollars because of the NIL, collegiate. So they're able to make their money. I ain't. You really think I'm gonna trip about this draft? Do you really think I'm gonna?
exactly.
I'm out already making the money that y'all talking about.
Right. It's different for them as opposed to their father, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Very, very different. It's a very
Very,
different landscape.
but it's still a form of we saw what most of us saw in that moment of watching that draft
Hmm.
and each round go by. We all saw an aspect of what some of us have dealt with on in the workforce. And
Absolutely.
like it or not, the NFL may be entertainment, it may be sports, but guess what? To those players, it's the workforce.
It is. It is. And it's corporate there too. It's a corporate environment. You think
Yeah,
about it, right?
yeah.
They have bosses.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of people. They have the front end. They got their team. They got their coaches and all that. And then they got their
Mm-hmm.
front office, right? They got
Yep.
a lot of people they have to answer to when you think about it.
A whole lot. So it's a big deal. Big
It
deal.
is. We're gonna talk about it definitely. Let's we're gonna get behind the scenes, figure out what we're gonna do, figure out these show topics and all that. Stay tuned for more we got planned, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So we will let everyone know what we're gonna do and when. But thank you so much, girl. This was a great conversation. I
It
hope
was. Thanks
people.
for having me back on, sis. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Got
you
me
girl,
feeling
you
all
welcome.
important and stuff.
Girl, you welcome because we gotta talk about these topics. We trying to say, listen, save some people, save some headaches, right? Because
Exactly. Exactly.
we got stories, but we'll next week please join us again next week. We're gonna get it together, our show topics together, and this is an important one. Like it's close to both of our hearts, right? This is the stuff that we talk about on our these long conversations that we have, right?
Every day.
Every day, every day. Like, girl, you won't believe what happened now.
Girl, did you hear about such and such?
Right, right. I don't believe they did that.
They want to pay how much now?
Right, exactly. Do you know what they offered me? Right. Exactly. Exactly. So stay tuned to more. It's coming more about corporate America talks, workplace talks, Black women in the workplace. Stay
Exactly.
tuned.
Yay. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, girl.